It's time now for some real education. Gustave Caillebotte was a French Impressionist painter and patron who painted in a more realistic manner than many others in the group. Born in 1848, Caillebotte's originality lay in his attempt to combine the careful drawing, modeling, and exact tonal values encouraged by the Academy with vivid colors, bold perspectives, keen sense of natural light, and the modern subject matter of the Impressionist movement. He died in 1894.
Yeah, it really is a shame that Caillebotte is one of the great Impressionist painters who doesn't get, nobody knows his name, right? You mentioned the name Caillebotte, no, people don't know. Everybody knows about Matisse and Renoir. All those guys are, even if you don't know what they are, you've heard the names. But this is a special kind of a painter, and I think he's one of the most interesting painters of the entire Impressionist movement. If you throw the painting we're going to deal with up here, this is, in French, Les Rabatteurs. It's the floor scrapers. It was painted in 1876. It's oil on canvas. And look at that. I mean, this is right when photography is beginning to take off. This is a photographic realist painting. It is so realistic, I mean, that it defies the typical conventions of Impressionism. If you think of pointillists, for instance, like Seurat, it's about as far as you can get from that, right? Or you think of the water lilies. You think of paintings like that when we think of the Impressionists, but this is genuinely impressionistic. I mean, look what it does. First of all, look at the play of light and shadow in the picture. It is absolutely gorgeous. You're in a room that has apparently that one primary window, and there's a good deal of light coming in there, and you can just see how that light sparkles and shines and dances off the parquet floor, both the part that hasn't been stripped yet in the middle there, and then you can see the darker tones of the places where the wax and the coatings have been scraped off. These literally are floor scrapers. And the fact that these are working class men working with their shirts off in what must be a hot upper room in an obviously unair conditioned French building or salon, what you see here is really remarkable. I mean, this is a moment, an impression, a moment captured in time, where you see them in the middle of their toil in their work, a bottle of wine on the right-hand corner as a little libation in the heat, typical French, and the beautiful ways in which the parquet floor is being revealed, right? Those deep gouges when you're scraping. You could literally see it, even perhaps smell what it must have been like to be a worker laboring in those warm conditions. And if we think about what Impressionism is, right, among its many other things, we should take the title Impressionism seriously. You get a beautiful, really deep impression there. Now, this painting, which was so realistic and so almost photorealistic, beautifully done, was entered into a number of contests, didn't win. The Impressionists, the judges of these Impressionist salon prize contests did not quite get it. They didn't quite understand it. In fact, if anything, this painting was to some degree so realistic that it bothered them, right? As painting was moving in an ever increasingly obtusity, right? You went from Impressionism to, in short order, you were doing Cubism, right? And then in short order after that, you got Dadaism, and you've got you got Salvador Dali. I mean, you've got absurdist paintings. So it didn't take long. Then you get to people like Pollock, right? And you think about where over the last 120 years since the Impressionists, we've opted for more confusion, more obfuscation in our art and less realism. And Caillebotte actually is able to paint a painting that is so realistic and yet so deeply impressionistic in what it conveyed, and a painting that actually was true to one ideal of Impressionism, the idea that everyday, ordinary, and average things and people were as worthy of artistic representation as kings and sunsets and panoramic ocean scenes. So on top of everything else here in this impressionistic painting, it's perhaps more impressionistic than some of Caillebotte's leading colleagues, in the sense that he is actually adding something to this. He is capturing a moment that is very blue-collar, very working class, in a very socially conscious way. So always, if you ever get a chance to, if you like the Impressionists, or if you just like painting, check out the work of Caillebotte. He died very young. And didn't produce as much perhaps as some of the others, but I think you'll be really pleasantly surprised to see how broad the Impressionist movement really could have been when you understand it in all of its implications.